Did you know that totally normal, everyday life changes, things like moving into a new apartment or just switching up your energy provider, could be leaving your money just sitting around in a government vault? Yep, we're talking about unclaimed utility deposits right here in Wisconsin. Today, we're diving into this explainer to equip you with absolutely everything you need to know to retrieve your rightful funds. Because honestly, it is so much easier than most people think. So we've got a very clear playbook for today. We're going to cover 1, the hidden deposit life cycle, 2, eligibility and preparation, 3, the state claim process, 4, local funds and disputes, and finally, 5, maximizing your success. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the hidden deposit life cycle, and figure out where exactly these funds go. So, you might think a forgotten deposit is just money down the drain, right? But the reality is actually pretty fascinating. When you first set up a new account, a utility company might require a deposit, usually if you have a shorter credit history or maybe some past due bills. But most people just don't realize that old utility deposits don't vanish into thin air when you close your account and forget to leave a forwarding address. These are legally protected financial assets. Basically, if the utility can't find you, they don't just get to pocket your cash. And here is where it gets really interesting. The Public Service Commission actually mandates that these deposits accrue interest. For the 2026 calendar year, that rate is set at a solid 3.6%. It's legally pegged to U.S. Treasury securities. So while your money is sitting there out of sight, it's actually growing. The utility is completely required to compound this interest for every fractional year they hold onto your money. But what happens if you leave? Well, under Wisconsin Statute Chapter 177, that deposit is legally presumed abandoned if it's left unclaimed for just one single year after your service ends. To put that into perspective, dormant bank accounts usually take about 5 years to be considered abandoned. 1 year is an incredibly short window. And that is exactly why so many people have utility deposits just floating around in the system without even having a clue. The utilities have to follow a really strict legal timeline before they can transfer your unreturned deposit to the state's central registry. Day 0 is the day your account closes. Exactly 1 year later, the dormancy period hits. But before they hand the money over to the state, the utility is legally required to send a physical notice to your last known address, usually between 60 and 120 days before they file. If you don't respond to that notice, the funds are officially transferred over to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue on November 1st. Which brings us to Section 2, eligibility and preparation. Let's get your claim ready. First off, we need to clear up a massive misconception. If your money was transferred to the state, it gets reclassified as unclaimed property. All that means is it's held safely by the government, indefinitely. If you're the former account holder or even a legal heir to someone who's passed away, you are completely eligible to recover this. It does not expire. It does not become the government's money just because a few years went by. It is still yours. So preparation is everything here. You have to gather a few specific documents before starting the claim process to actually prove ownership. You're going to need a government ID and something to verify your social security number, like a W-2 or a tax return. But crucially, because utility deposits are tied to where you used to live, proof of your past address is your absolute golden ticket. An old phone bill, a bank statement, or an old lease showing your name at that specific previous address, that's what proves the deposit is yours. Oh, and if you're claiming this for an estate, you'll need the proper legal forms, like a domiciliary letter. Let's move on to Section 3, the state claim process, and actually recover your money. With your documents ready, this is where the rubber meets the road. It's a super simple 4-step online process. You go to tap.revenue.wis.gov, search your name, and see if anything pops up. From there, you just enter your current contact info, securely upload those documents we just talked about, and hit submit. But please make absolutely sure you save that confirmation number at the end. You're definitely going to need it to check your claim status later on. Now, check this out. Thanks to the state's data matching process, if your claim is under $2,000, you might just get an automatic check in the mail. No way, right? Wisconsin's Department of Revenue actively compares unclaimed property records to current tax records. If they find a perfect match, they literally just mail you a notice of claim refund. But quick heads up, do not rely on this. If you've changed your name, moved out of state, or even if the utility just misspelled your name on the original account, the automatic match won't work. Always run a manual search just to be safe. All right, Section 4, local funds and disputes, navigating the exceptions. Okay, so the rules actually completely change depending on who your provider was. This is absolutely crucial to note. Municipal utility balances, think like your local town's water or sewer utility, are often held by county treasurers instead. And that involves a much stricter 10-year deadline and a physical notarized paper process. Well, investor-owned utilities like We Energies, for example, send abandoned funds to the state where they're held indefinitely. Local government entities follow a totally different law. If you lived in a small town with a municipal utility, you need to check your specific county treasurer's unclaimed funds report, because if you wait past 10 years, those local funds could be gone forever. But what if you just moved a few months ago? Well, if your deposit is from a recently closed account and hasn't actually transitioned to unclaimed property yet, you can't use the state portal. You have to resolve it through the utility itself or the PSC's dispute system. Try calling the utility first. If they refuse to refund your deposit, maybe they're claiming some unjustified fee, you can escalate the issue right to the Public Service Commission's Consumer Affairs Program. They're the regulatory watchdogs, and they can step in to investigate. Finally, Section 5, maximizing your success with some troubleshooting tips. Let's make sure your claim doesn't get stalled out in bureaucratic limbo. If the state is reviewing your claim and decides they need a bit more proof, maybe they need a clearer copy of your ID or just a different proof of address, you need to respond quickly through their secure portal. That is the absolute best way to bypass delays. Whatever you do, do not ignore an action-required letter. The faster you upload those missing documents, the faster your refund gets approved and sent out. Just a quick note before we wrap up, please remember this explainer is an educational guide to help you navigate the process. Every individual's financial situation and estate claim is a bit unique, so checking in directly with the Wisconsin Department of Revenue or a professional for your specific situation is always the smart move. So, knowing that your old deposits are legally protected and actually sitting there accruing interest while we speak, the only real question left is, why haven't you searched for yours yet? Seriously, an unexpected check could cover your groceries, fund a fun night out, or just pad your savings. What would you do with your reclaimed funds? Start your search today. And hey, if this explainer helped you out, please make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment below so we can keep bringing you these deep dives. Happy hunting, everyone!